Children are the imaginary sort. They have certain qualities to them that makes them just downright imaginative. And there's certain qualities to a kid's imagination that we can all appreciate. But there comes a point in every childhood's imagination where things just downright just don't go right for the kid. But why is that exactly? Well, sometimes the imagination can take us to good places and or bad places, even to the point where no one else will listen to us and or believe us and bring us into a place of sadness and despair. By the way, just as a little thing, go and pick this book up from Amazon and support my friend if you would. But we're not talking about her book, I just wanted to use pages from it because I thought it could get my point across. Instead, we're talking about this little film based on a book that I don't have, Where the Wild Things Are, directed by Spike Jonze. This movie is just a downright really good children's film that gets its point across. Now, why did I mention this book? Odds are you should support my good friend, and odds are as well that you should watch this movie. But just look at the cover alone. I mean, if you came across this, would you imagine that this honestly was based off of the book of the same name? I know certainly as hell I wouldn't, but here's the thing. This is a really damn good movie, and I mean really, really good. So, let's go to Where the Wild Things Are, and I'm going to go into some great detail about why this movie is just so damn good and it should be referenced as much. So, let's dive into The Wild Things. Where the Wild Things Are stars our character Max, played brilliantly by the young actor Matt Records. Max is just a quirky little boy. He has his qualities, his charm, and his, boy-like demeanor that's all around him, but he's a very imaginative sort, and he has a sister and a mom, and we don't know anything about his dad. But since the poor guy is always so alone, he just wants to have fun. So when he tried to do so, in the worst of ways, especially by barraging his sister's friends when they come over to visit her, trying to get somebody to play with. But all seems good, only to a certain point. When Max's igloo, or snow fort, is destroyed, he ends up breaking down, crying, oddly to the point that his sister didn't want to be with him, and to the point that she didn't stop her friend from destroying his fort, which makes him upset, which causes him to go a little bit wild. He goes into a room, spreads snow all around, dampens up her carpet, something awful, and also takes the gift that he made for her and just downright destroys it out of enragement. But the thing is, while he is just a little boy, he really should manage to contain his wild side a lot better and not make it go completely, bonkers. He has a mom, played by Catherine Keener, who really wants to make the best that she can for her son, but at the same time, she's a workaholic. He shows her the damages that he done, and much to his mom's surprise, she's none too happy about what he had done, but he offered to make up for what he did, help her clean up, and, probably apologize for the mess that he made. But this was important for what happened later on. Later on that night, his mom has a date with a boyfriend played by Mark Ruffalo. Hey, she's getting a little Hulk action. Just kidding. And anyways, he decides to ruin it in the worst ways possible. He dresses up in his wolf costume, he just spies on her and her boyfriend, and then manages to make, a living tantrum of himself. He freaks out on his mom for no reason for buying frozen corn. I wish I was joking about that. But then he decides to make things even worse for himself by throwing a temper tantrum.
Woman, feed me! Get off the counter. Get off the counter, Max. Now. I'll eat you up! Get down!
He does her best to calm him down up until the point where he injures her, thus making him freak out, and that's what causes him to run away. Run away to where is beyond questioning. Does he escape in his mind, or does he really go there? Chances are, we may never know, but that is for film theorists everywhere. This is the point of the movie where Max runs into the other monsters on the island. Carol, KW, Judas, Ira, Douglas, Alexander, and all the rest of them. But everything seems to go great at first when he meets these creatures, and he ends up wanting to make friends with them, and especially to the point where he lies to these creatures, so he could make their acquaintance and thus be friends with them. He lies about being a king, he lies about having superpowers, and he even lies about everything in general. This is what kids do. They sometimes lie or make up imaginative stories so they can get things easier done through life, which is something that Max is pretty much known for doing in this film. But that's kind of is where his downfall begins to attend in this movie. He's having fun, he's having the time of his life, becoming this king, in quotation marks, that he's known to be with these monsters, but as with every good thing, it's not built to last. But at first, he has fun and he has his own little quirky moments, especially to building up a fort or a foundation where all the monsters and himself can live together in peace and happiness, which he ends up actually liking the idea and especially putting it together so much. But this is again where everything seemingly falls apart on him. He tried to keep everyone together and he tried to keep having good ideas so they won't focus on the bad things happening, but instead focus on the good aspects, sort of like any good child would. They would do something to focus on the good aspects and not focus on the bad aspects. They have questions for him. What would he do with his kingdom? How would he manage his kingdom? What will he do if he's king? Is he a king? Does he have superpowers? Does he not have superpowers? All of these questions end up being asked for him. So how does he get out of it is because he lies. He makes up lies and he makes up stories so nobody would dare question him and, well, eat him. But slowly but surely, everything seems to fall apart on him, especially during the war with Dirt Claws when they end up accidentally hurting Alexander. Alexander leaves because he had a scar on his leg and he doesn't want nothing to do with it anymore. And in fact, people start getting injured and start all around start to yell at each other, something that Mac didn't want. But then again, what do you expect when you're throwing clods of dirt at one another? But then everything seemingly gets worse for Max because the monsters will not let up the fact that he is a king and that he has these superpowers. To the point where they ask him what his superpowers are, Max just gets up, starts doing the robot, or well, breakdancing, and they don't believe that this is a superpower that he has. For example, he just could have told them that he can't do it at a certain time, or make up some kind of like bullcrap bullshit excuse, but the monsters actually really don't believe him, and then to a point actually mock him for this, which oddly really is pretty damn dark. But everything starts to get worse for Max, and by worse I really do mean worse. I mean, think about it. He's a little boy who misses his mom, who misses his sister, and above all, he just wants to still be with them and he wants to be together. And probably to the point that he also misses his dad, that we can assume from this movie his dad is never said. But he goes around and ends up starting to feel alone, something that he actually was afraid of during the beginning of the movie that we know because of his sister who ignores him and his workaholic mother. Later on, when he ends up talking to Douglas, Douglas puts it together that he's lying, that he's told that he is going to continue to lie, and that he had no superpowers, nor is he a king. Douglas tells him that he will keep his secret, but to not tell Carol, the head monster of the honcho. But why becomes really relevant within the next scene. Later on that night, Carol ends up waking everybody up and asking them what's going on and that they need to move and not tear down their fort, much to the irritation and confusion of poor Max. Carol just ends up snapping and more importantly starts ending up acting like a wild thing or a monster, if you would. And thus he really goes on the hulking spree when he does one of the really big things that frickin' surprised me in this movie. What he does to poor Alexander.
So much. Don't say that!
No! Stop it! Stop it! What are you doing?
Yes, you saw that correctly. Carol hulks out and starts chasing Max until he's hidden by KW. Thankfully that she hides him away from Carol so he doesn't end up, killing Max. Which I want to point out really quickly, I love the suits in this, and I love how they are suits and not animatronics. That just makes the whole feel that much more energetic and experienced when you have these really unique and awesome looking costumes with such dedicated suit actors, and I just love it. At first I thought it was CG'd, but then when I realized that these were suit actors, God bless them, they do such an amazing job. But Max soon realizes maybe this world is made for him, and he's not made for the world. So what he ends up doing is actually leaving, but we'll never forget the monsters and the experience that he's had. Thus really coming together that determines that he's just a little boy. He's not made to be a king, nor is he made to be a queen, or anything like that. He's just a boy that wants his family. And I do really love the ending to this movie. I do. There is no talking, it's just a mother reconnected with her son. And I think that's for the better of it. She feeds him, she loves him, she hugs him, and everything else in between. And it just feels good. Like, her son ran away maybe for a few hours because it was still night by the time that he came back home. So it's not really that long that he ran away. But just the feeling and the sensation that she loved him so much that she waited up for him just makes the film a whole lot nicer. And this is definitely one of the best family films I've seen in years. If you want a dang good movie that's good for you and your children to watch, I recommend What a Wild Things Are. It has a great story, fantastic actors all the way around, a great director with a fantastic screenplay, and brilliant and talented people all working on this film and both producing and both voice acting. I freaking love this film, and I can guarantee that they will too. And maybe they will find a little wild thing inside of themselves. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching my video. If you like it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and even follow me at Twitter. I would really appreciate it. And also tell me what some other videos that you think that I should do and that you might enjoy. Maybe I can accommodate you. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.